New on Daybreak this morning, we're taking a look into the urgent battle against invasive silver carp, a menace to the delicate ecosystems of Midwestern rivers. As carp numbers surge in Minnesota and Wisconsin, there are intensifying discussions on how to contain the spread. No species has become quite as problematic for Midwestern rivers as the silver carp. This infamous invasive species is destroying local ecosystems and posing a threat to boaters for their tendency to leap from the water when startled. Now, as carp are being caught in Minnesota and Wisconsin in increasing numbers, there is an ongoing discussion in government and among environmental advocates on how to curb the spread.
The risk is extremely clear from a scientific perspective.
Dr. Peter Sorensen is a retired University of Minnesota biology professor whose research has helped study and manage the spread of carp populations in other parts of the country.
I know personally of several state fisheries managers that have told me personally, whatever you do, don't let it happen in Minnesota, and don't you believe that it couldn't happen here.
So what's been done so far? In January, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources issued a new carp action plan which outlined tangible steps needed to help catch fish and coordinate the response. Kelly Pennington is an invasive species unit supervisor with the DNR and says the beauty of the plan is in its approach to understanding the problem and working with other agencies.
We need a lot of different actions and approaches and strategies in order to be effective at managing invasive carp in Minnesota, and the DNR is really interested in pursuing a multi-strategy approach here.
Here's a layout of the battlefield. Silver carp were introduced in the South in the 1970s and have since spread north across the Midwest. For the most part, this species has stayed south of Minnesota. A series of locks and dams along the Mississippi River has somewhat slowed the spread, with breeding populations moving north by about 10 river miles a year. But recently, increasing numbers have been caught in the state, with the DNR reporting catching 486 carp in the area near Winona this winter alone. Some groups are advocating for more urgent action, a deterrent system at Lock and Dam number 5, just upstream, to stop the spread into the rest of the state. The approximate price tag of this is about $8 million. Dr. Sorensen argues this is an easy choice and investment to keep them out.
Just look what's happened elsewhere, learn lessons from the past and other places in the country. Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Arkansas, South Dakota, these are all places that have very heavy carp infestation, from about $3 million a year in places like Kentucky to up to $10 million a year in Illinois, just to maintain a status quo. This is not reducing their numbers, this is just preventing it from getting any worse.
The potential deterrent uses a mix of light, sound, and bubbles to keep carp from moving further upstream.
It's proven. It's been existing for decades. There's one in California, there's one in Kentucky. It's been published on. We know it. We know how to maintain it.
Also pushing for the deterrent is Colleen O'Connor Toberman, the planning program director with Friends of the Mississippi River, a non-for-profit which itself is part of the Stop Carp Coalition. Last year, her and the rest of the coalition helped secure just under $2 million for the Carp Action Plan. She believes the action plan is necessary in tandem with the deterrent to ensure the best results.
Other activities, engagement, commercial fishing, research, other pieces. What we don't have the money for yet is the deterrent. The deterrent will not work unless we fund all of that. It really is going to take every tactic we have.
While the DNR has not taken a stance for or against the deterrent, included in the Carp Action Plan is a look at what the deterrent could look like.
What we've included in the action plan are some steps to better understand what a deterrent at Lock and Dam 5 would mean. We're going to fund some additional design work on what that deterrent would look like.
And while this work continues, the Stop Carp Coalition argues that we don't have time to wait around.
Last year we had a record budget surplus. It would have been a great time to fund a deterrent, but that didn't happen. And so this year we're going to have to try to scrape up the money that we can find to keep this thing moving forward. If we wait till another year, we don't know how much time we have to wait.
With more and more carp moving north for a new home, the clock is ticking for solutions to keep them downriver. There is potential for funding the deterrent and other strategies through the current Minnesota legislative session.